Hey folks, welcome to the Cycling News Show, and this week we have got a roundup of the action from the Volta Comunitat Valenciana. I think I said that right. Yes, welcome to the Ride and Thrive podcast with me, your host, Dave Shields. So, it was one of the bigger races for the start of the season, and it was a chance for us to get a look at some of the bigger names, if you like, and their first outing in a sort of a stage race. So it was over 5 stages, and that included a time trial, and it all took place in and around Valencia in Spain and around the foothills. Okay, so it was Remco Evenepoel in the end who took the overall GC, kind of as expected. Now, he has had a really good start to the season. He's had a couple of wins already. I think this is maybe his 6th or 7th win of the season. So he's looking really strong for Red Bull BORA Hansgrohe. And if you remember, there was a bit of controversy when he transferred over to Red Bull last season. So, let's see if he can become a major player. And maybe he might be up there to start battling with the likes of Jonas Vingegaard, who we'll come on to later, and of course that there Tadej Pogačar. Okay, so the individual stages then, they threw up a few interesting surprises. Now the first stage was the Biniam Girmay show from NSN Cycling. Now he had a sprint finish to contend with on the first day, and he basically he led from the front after about 250 metres. He came off the wheel of Ben Turner from Ineos, and he just struck out from the front, really strong and powerful. And he held the lead and he went over the line first. So a really good result for NSN Cycling and for Biniam as well to get back to winning ways. So hopefully he can carry that on. Now the second stage. It was a time trial, and it was a little bit of a non-event because it was really windy on the course, and a lot of the signs and everything were blowing over. So the organisers took to caution, and they decided to neutralise the GC times, which meant that your time in the time trial didn't count towards the GC. So that meant that some of the riders made it a bit of a rest day, and some of them just went out for a turning over of the pedals, had a ride, But we did have a contest, and of course Remco Evenepoel was no such person to rest on his laurels. He went all out on it. Now he took to his road bike, the aero bikes, because of the way they're designed. They were deemed to be a bit more of a risk in the wind. So the riders that did ride took to their road bikes. And he absolutely trounced the rest of the field. Okay, so he came in the time of 20 minutes and 12 seconds. And that was 8 seconds ahead of his teammate, Alexander Vlasov. And Matthias Vacek from Little Trek came in third. So a good result for BORA. Quite strong in that, first and second in the time trial. But like I say, the times didn't count towards the GC, so the things stayed as they were for stage 3, which meant Biniam Girmay kept the leader's jersey. Okay, so on to stage 3. It was Ineos then who starred in stage 3. Andrew August from Ineos. Now he won the stage. Now this was interesting. He came in. He was in a breakaway with a couple of other riders. And he sat on the back of that. There was 4 of them, and they were all taking their turns at the front, having their go. And if you've ever done this, it's good, because if you sit at the back, you don't have to use much energy up. Okay, it's the person of the front that uses all the energy up. So what happens is when you get a bit of a train going, you'll get people from the back coming up to the front to take their turn, and then the others slip back, have a rest, and they swap round. And the idea is that this breakaway can get away from the rest of the peloton. So, there was only a 1 in 4 chance of somebody winning, other than someone from the peloton, 1 in 100. So the breakaway was going, they were taking the turns, except for August, who afterwards said he didn't think it was his place. He had to take a turn. And when it came to the finishing straight, he came from the back of that group and just, they all had tired legs from having their turn, and he basically just went ahead to the rest of them and took the win. And it was his first win of his professional career after a couple of years at Ineos. He's still only a young lad, 20 odd years old. So he's taken the win, and quite rightly so. There was a few raised eyebrows, should I say, but a lot of people that, saying racing's racing at the end of the day, and these rules are kind of unwritten rules and gentlemen's agreements. So, all I would say is that he better watch his back in the peloton. He might not get such, people might not treat him in a certain way in the future. Should he want someone to work for him, then, it does go in your favour. If you help someone out, they'll help you out when you need it. Okay, so enough said on that, but a good win for Ineos all the same, and Andrew August. Okay, that led us on to stage 4, which was the Queen stage, and they had a big climb in that one. And it was the Remco Evenepoel show on this one. He dominated on the climb. He was in a group. There was a group of them, and there was João Almeida from Team UAE, and he just left them for dead. Basically, he just on the climb. He just showed his class and rode away, and ended up taking the stage and also the overall lead with one stage to go. So really good show of strength there from Remco. And this is what I was saying earlier. It would be good to see him up against the likes of Jonas and Tadej to see if he can be a genuine contender to those two. Okay, then stage 5. So basically, Remco had enough time on his hands to just make sure he got round this one safely and stay in touch with the leaders. So there was a breakaway on this one. The peloton were happy for a breakaway to get away, and it was Paul Piena from Movistar who took the stage, and that was a sprint in the group of 4 from Emil Herzog from Red Bull. So again, a second place for Red Bull. So not bad overall. Okay, so in the end, it was Remco that took the GC. In second place was João Almeida from UAE Team Emirates. And in third place, it was, hang on, Giulio Pellizzari from Red Bull, BORA Hansgrohe again. So a first and third for those guys. So well done for Remco, and hoping for big things for this season. Now, just a note, a bit of misery for Mads Pedersen from Little Trek. Now, he had a crash on stage 1, and he ended up going to hospital, and he's fractured his left wrist and his right collarbone. So that means he's going to miss some of his... He was due to do some classics, and he was probably favourite in a couple of them. So he's going to miss out on those. So I'm not sure when he's going to be back. But of major note was Milan San Remo he was supposed to be riding. So, they're all in doubt now. So we'll keep an eye on Mads Pedersen, a big player in it, but a bit of a sad day. Never like to see crashes. But, hopefully get well soon to Mads from Little Trek. Okay then, so moving on. So I did say that we'd hope to see Jonas Vingegaard up against certainly Pogačar, but Remco Evenepoel as well, and it's not looking good for the opening season. Now, he was due to ride in the UAE Tour, the Tour of UAE. And that starts on the 16th of Feb. And Visma have just come out and said that Jonas isn't going to be riding that due to the accident that he had that I mentioned last week, where he came off his bike on the descent and blamed the other rider, but which we won't talk about that. And he said he's had a bit of an illness as well. So his training hasn't been going well. So they're just going to delay the start to his season, which is a little bit sad. And I am really hoping that he can get back up to full fitness as soon as possible, so we can see Jonas up there battling it on with Tadej Pogacar and Remco as well. Now remember that Jonas is down to ride the Giro this year. So get well soon to Jonas. Okay then, a little bit of a fun story then for Team Ineos and those white shorts. Now I brought this up at the start of the year that for the new season they brought out their new kit, and they had like orange tops and these like white shorts, but they weren't white, they were kind of off white, more of a grey colour, light grey. And I must admit, to start with, I did say I didn't like them at all. There's a few people saying as well they didn't like them. But anyway, they've decided to change them up for the classic season. So they're going to put black shorts on. They're going to go back to their black bib shorts. Now, whether this is going to be a more permanent move. Now, they have said that they don't think riding the classics over the cobbles and Roubaix and all the rest of it, they're going to get really muddy and dirty. It's going to show up really badly. So they're going to go and change to the black ones. So, a good move there from Ineos. But whether they're going to stick to it or not, I don't know. I did also say that the other kit was growing on me. So maybe when we get to the summer sun and in the summer that we're going to see the white shorts again. But we'll see on that one. Okay. So lastly, a bit of kind of bad news for the cycle industry itself, really. The Trek, who have been struggling over the years, and they've said they might have to make redundancies and layoffs because of falling sales, and they're blaming quite a few things, but basically profits are down, and they've been making a loss for a few years, and it is hitting the industry. I talked about Rafa last week, and I think Endura as well aren't doing very well. And it seems as though companies were stockpiling kit during COVID because they were making hay, selling loads of stuff. And then they basically, people bought all the bikes, and then they didn't want bikes after that. So they've already got their bikes, so they don't need them. So they ended up with loads of stock that they bought and they can't get rid of. And basically prices have gone down. So what they're going to try and have to do is to cut costs and streamline manufacturing, streamline the workforce, and just basically try and get back to basics and selling bikes again and making a profit for the shareholders. Now, it is business at the end of the day, and a few people have heard a few comments on this saying that, well, they shouldn't, they were greedy when they were making hay and they were making loads of money. But at the end of the day, the shareholders invest in the company and they want to see a return on that investment. They want to see the money. So it's really hard, especially for these big players, that they just want to make money for the shareholders. And without them, there is no investment. There is no company. Hello? Okay, I'm in the middle of a podcast, but never mind. All right, babe, see you in a bit. Bye. So I might do a podcast on the cycle industry in general as where it's at. Now, apparently, new bikes are always say new bikes. Oh, for fuck's sake! So it is said that high-end bikes have always sold well. There's always been a market for the high-end stuff, but unfortunately, I think that market's quite small. So high-end bikes will sell. And you get better. I guess you get better margins from those high-end bikes. But it's the bread and butter. The mid-range bikes, the high churn, the turnover that sells, that makes the big amount of money because it's the volumes of it. So I guess that the Trek are known for the high end bikes, the Trek de Marne, and the Madone, but yeah, like a few of the other big manufacturers, it's the ones that are further down the line, the bread and butter bikes that aren't selling. So don't like to see layoffs and stuff. And me personally, would I buy a Trek bike? I quite like the Trek name, but I don't know if I would. I think for my next bike, I'm going to go for a smaller manufacturer. I don't know why, But ultimately, you just want the best bike for you, really, don't you? If that's a Trek, then it's a Trek. I wouldn't accuse anybody for buying a bike brand if they like it. It's just, it's just how it is. People buy football kit all the time, and for their favourite football team. So, yeah. Okay, folks, that wraps up the Racing News Show for this week. Tune in again next week for more news. And until then, bye for now.